Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. I am Kyle Tinubu. It's the 20th of October and I understand it's the 1 year anniversary of the NSAS protests and we all feel a certain way. Whether different people feel one way on the other side of the political spectrum, and obviously there are those who support the protests and those who are against it. No matter what you feel about today, hopefully you can take your mind off it a little bit, just for a few minutes, a few hours, and revel about the sports news we bring to you this morning. The United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, USOPC, said on Tuesday, October 19th, it will prioritize educating its athletes on global issues ahead of the 2022 Beijing Olympics, where some could enter the debate about China's human rights record. The USOPC said its athletes are encouraged to support the values of the Olympic movement, which include non-discrimination and equality for all, and it is not expected that some would feel strongly about issues in the world that may impact them. USOPC Chair Suzanne Lyons, speaking on the final day of the virtual Team USA Media Summit, said the Beijing Olympics will offer a chance for sports to speak for unity, global peace, and for the rights of people around the world. Activists have urged the International Olympic Committee, IOC, to take the February 4th to 20th Olympics out of China's given its treatment of Uyghur Muslims, along with other human rights concerns. China denies human rights abuses. The USOPC said it is capitalizing on every chance it can to educate athletes, whether at training via virtual town hall meetings or in person at Olympic trials. Educating athletes is not new ground for the USOPC, as the organization also primed athletes on topical issues ahead of this year's Tokyo Olympics, which were held after a year in which social justice protests swept the globe. I think I have Sayo with me this morning. Sayo?
Good morning to you, Mukai.
Hello, welcome. Protests have been ramping up against the Beijing Olympics, the Winter Games. Obviously, the IOC has always held a policy of non-confrontation with governments regarding human rights violations and political speech. At the very least, they try to limit their athletes' political statement on the World Olympic stage. But is that policy, antiquated?
To start with, I want to actually give thumbs up to the United States Olympic Committee in terms of wanting to educate athletes on global issues. I think this is a very, very good one, because most of these athletes, come to think about it, they came from different backgrounds. They came from where, regions in the world where we can say they are hot zones. They came from where gender inequality is the order of the day. So bringing these athletes together, then educating them on how things should be, I think is the way forward for sports.
But then, regarding the IOC policy of not using the Olympic stage as a platform for political statement, is it an old-fashioned idea, given that in recent Olympics we've had refugee teams represented? The IOC has a charter that tries to promote peace, unity, and of course, non-discrimination against people. How can the IOC claim it doesn't want to make political statements when these are, in fact, political statements?
Absolutely. If you come to look at it, sports and politics go hand in hand. I want to agree with that statement. But the Olympics trying to come out and say they don't want to meddle into politics, but whereas they're having refugees and they're having other parts of the game being held by these same people. So it's whether or not they actually want to go confrontational now. But I think they just want to go hiding, and then they'll still come out to support the refugees, to support peace at the larger scale. But I think it's not too wrong if you actually bring in a little of politics into
the excuse they've given for why China must hold this Olympics has been equality, not wanting to discriminate against the Chinese government, the Chinese people. But if that were the case, the Olympics should have come to Africa by now. There are parts of the world that it hasn't gone to. It seems to me that they are taking it's more important to them that the nation that hosts the Olympics has the financial capacity to host it, more than whether it is morally right for them to host it or whether they are qualified as a moral authority to host something that is going to bring a bunch of nations together to promote unity and peace.
Yeah, I think I want to agree with you on that angle, in as much as they want to bring peace and security to the world, but they should also not want to host the worst Olympics ever. And Africa is not ready to host Olympics right now, because if you look at top countries in Africa that can host Olympics, it's really going to be a very bad one. I don't want to disrespect Africa as a continent. We have some great countries in Africa, but do they have the firepower to host an Olympic? Don't forget, Olympics is just like a conglomeration of events, of sporting activities in one country. So is Africa developed to that level? The answer is no. So in as much as they still want to bring peace, yes, they want to bring peace, and that's why it is given to China. But China has the financial muscle to host an Olympics.
Now, I would argue with those people who say the Chinese should not be allowed to host this event. I would say that the very fact that they are being allowed to host it is the reason why our attention, the world's attention, is so focused on them right now. And it allows, because for years now, the Uyghur Muslim situation has been more of a United States, maybe Britain, a few nations within NATO, rallying together and condemning condemning Beijing, condemning China. But that has had limited impact because of the limits of the political and diplomatic punishments that can be levied against them. But right now, with this Olympics going to Beijing, we all are paying attention. It's a good platform for us all to pay attention.
Absolutely. I agree with that. China right now, like you said, they are getting the attention of the whole world. And this can now be a forum in which they can now, bring out their own ideas and ideology into sports.
All right. Something different now. We go to France. French football star and Real Madrid striker Karim Benzema is set to face trial from Wednesday, October 20th, over being complicit in a conspiracy to blackmail his former France teammate Matteo Valbuena in a case linked to a sex tape. Benzema, who rejoined the Blues for the Euro 2020, breaking a 5-year hiatus with the team, was charged by prosecutors in January and will be tried at Versailles Court near Paris. Investigators allege that Benzema encouraged Valbuena to pay blackmailers in order that the tape would not be made public. Benzema has denied wrongdoing. The trial is slated to last until Friday, October 22nd. Benzema, 33, was part of the France team victorious in the 2021 Nations League. He has previously been implicated in a trial over the solicitation of an underage prostitute and was discharged by a Paris tribunal in 2014. This matter has been up in the air for a while now, Sayo, and unfortunately, it has impacted his livelihood, his reputation, and no judgment has even been passed. We haven't even seen the prosecutor's case. So, now we're getting to the crux of the matter. It's about to go down today. Where do you see this going? I know you're not a legal commentator, but where do you see this going?
Well, it's a sad one for Karim Benzema, one of the finest strikers in football, in modern football, to be precise. It's not easy to have a legal battle while you are still playing professional football. Handling these two side by side is not easy, and it might actually affect Karim Benzema, psychologically. He might not give in his best. Well, it has happened. It has happened. The sex tape issue has happened, and he has been prosecuted now. The date has been fixed.
Well,
If he found guilty, he should face the wrath of the law.
but then, so far, all we know about this is that he encouraged his friend to pay blackmailers. I don't understand. Maybe French law is much different from British or American or definitely Nigerian law. But it seems to me trying to get your friend to not have to go through the reputational damage of having his sex tape revealed to the world should not be necessarily a crime unless it can be proved that he was conspiring with the blackmailers to begin with.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. Cases like this are very delicate. You must have all the facts. Matthew Valbuena, it seems like his sex tapes was in the hands of the blackmailer, and then Karim advised him to pay the blackmailer. So we never can say if Karim had a dealing with the blackmailer, though it has not been proven yet. And that's why I said if he's found guilty, then he should face the wrath of the law. But aside that, I think Karim was just trying to be a nice friend of Valbuena.
Now, on to Champions League football. Last night was filled with plenty of goals, plenty of great matches. We saw that Real Madrid scored 5 against their opponent. Inter Milan, plenty of goals in that as well. AC Milan seemed to be struggling. They're bottom of their group. But the game of the night was Liverpool versus Atletico Madrid. Liverpool's Mohamed Salah netted a double, including the winner, as they secured a 3-2 victory over Atletico Madrid on Tuesday, October 19th. Salah fired home the winner from the spot after Griezmann had seen red for a dangerous high boot, but the action was not over in a compelling encounter, with Atletico awarded a penalty of their own before it was overturned following a VAR review. The win kept Liverpool top in Group B on 9 points, 5 ahead of second place Atletico and Porto in third, with AC Milan pointless at the foot of the table. Salah opened the scoring with a deflected effort in the 8th minute, and Naby Keita added a second with a thunderous volley 5 minutes later as Liverpool looked set to crush Diego Simeone's side. However, Liverpool's defense imploded shortly afterwards, and Atletico came roaring back with Griezmann at the center of the action. He steered home a coquet shot in the 20th to reduce the deficit, and 14 minutes later, he drew his side level, a superb first touch opening up the space in front of him for a clinical finish low past Alisson's left hand. Griezmann was shown a straight red 7 minutes after the break for carelessly planting his foot in the face of Roberto Firmino as he challenged for a high ball. Defender Mario Hermoso considered a penalty by barging into Diogo Jota, and Salah made no mistake from the spot to put Liverpool back in the lead. After a VAR review overturned a penalty given late in the game after Jota appeared to bundle over Jose Maria Jimenez. The result gives Liverpool their first win over Atletico Madrid in 4 games. Now, Sayo, obviously this match delivered on all the expected drama and even gave us more than we bargained for. 2 penalties, 1 overturned, 1 given. Did Liverpool get lucky in that match?
Well, a whole lot of things happened in that match. Did Liverpool get lucky? I would say yes, they were a bit lucky because they actually fought for the 3 points. Don't forget that the last time these two teams faced, Liverpool got out of the Champions League at the hands of Atletico de Madrid themselves. So Liverpool knew what they were up against, and then raising to a 2-0 lead, only to be pegged back by a double from Antoine Griezmann. It was a fantastic match, no doubt about it. But they are undoing again when they press the self-destruct button was when Griezmann with that tackle on Roberto Firmino. It was a horrendous tackle, and it was a straight red card. It was a deserved straight red card. So from then on, it was going to be Liverpool.
You know what,
11,
Sayo?
Going to be easy. Yeah.
Speaking about the red card, there was actually a similar incident in the AC Milan match with Ibrahimovic committing a high boot with his foot hitting a defender's head, but he did not get sent off. Is this all down to interpretation, though?
Yeah, sometimes it's down to interpretation. What the referee can interpret from the intent of the player. Now, that brings in the inconsistencies when it comes to the decisions of the referees. Sometimes referees are not, consistent, especially when it comes to different referees in different games and different occasions. So, like that AC Milan's own, I think it was the interpretation of the referee. The referee felt it was going for the ball. But if you look at Griezmann's own closely, it was directly heading to, if you look at it now, Griezmann actually got a little of the ball, but it got largely of Firmino's head. And
well,
it was
when I was watching the match, I thought to myself it was a justified red. First of all, his foot was too high. His studs were showing.
Too high,
Contact was made with the striker's head. Clear red card. But Atletico Madrid players certainly did not agree.
I agree with you. Well, we shouldn't have expected something different from Atletico Madrid. They always want to, fight for their players and see if they can overturn the referee's decision. But the referee has made his decision, and I think it's okay like that. It was a fair game, no doubt about it.
All right then. All players who want a visa to compete in the Australian Open will need to be fully vaccinated for COVID-19, the country's immigration minister said on Wednesday, October 20th, putting Novak Djokovic's title defense and Grand Slam record bid in doubt. Now, all players who want a visa to compete in the Australian Open will need to be fully vaccinated for COVID-19, the country's immigration minister said on Wednesday, October 20th. This puts Novak Djokovic's title defense and Grand Slam record bid in doubt. Djokovic, who is level with Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal on 20 Grand Slam titles, has declined to reveal his vaccination status and said he is unsure if he will defend his Australian Open crown. Clarifying Australia's visa requirements, Minister for Immigration Alex Hawke said foreign players would need to have had 2 vaccination shots to play the Grand Slam at Melbourne Park in January. The rule could exclude scores of players from the tournament, though vaccination rates are rising. More than 65% of players on the professional men's ATP tour are vaccinated, and at least 60% on the women's WTA circuit. According to recent media reports, Australia has shut its international borders to non-citizens and non-permanent residents for 18 months, though there have been some high-profile exceptions. International travel is expected to begin for Australian citizens within weeks, with tourism expected to resume in early 2022. I want to say thank you to Sayo Oguntoye for joining me this morning.
The pleasure is always mine. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciations, much appreciations. And to everyone at home, thank you for watching. You might be at home, you might be at work, but we always love that you join us for Plus Sports on PlusTvAfrica. I am Kyle Tinubu, and remember, life is never boring or as difficult as it seems with some sports.